You guys are so well behaved. It feels mighty fine. It's really cool. I know a lot of people who've gotten this, so people I really admire. So it's really nice to be here. It's just nothing that I've ever really done before, and it was pretty bold and pretty out there in a lot of ways, in every way. So it was, pushing the envelope for me in a lot of ways. We had the luxury of having 3 weeks of rehearsal together as a troupe, and we mostly just did theater games to get really comfortable with each other. It was very playful and funny and fun, and we made idiots of ourselves, and so everything else that happened after that was easy. I got you already.
I wanted a pink pen, so yeah. Thank you so much.
One here.
Okay.
One more. There.
Thank you so much.
Mark, can you sign my photo?
Thank you. Great job. Thank you. I love you. I love you. Stella Adler all the way.
Oh yeah.
I love
Did you go there?
I'm very love you. Love you.
I don't know. They're all my little babies, kind of. So I don't really have any favorites. I'm doing a Brad Inglesby's new show directed by Jeremiah Zager for HBO called Task. Wow.
This is a big house.
Holy shit.
There's like 2,000 people in here.
Thank you.
So you and I have talked a few times over the years, but I thought we'd go back to the very beginning, to Kenosha, Wisconsin. And your mother cut hair, and you moved to Virginia Beach with your construction painter father. Is that all right?
That's the truth.
And were they supportive of your artistic leanings?
Yeah, they were very supportive, even though they were probably very frightened. They were very supportive of me, especially my mom and dad, Frank and Marie Ruffalo. My other family, my more extended family, was not. They told me, "You're crazy. No one ever makes it in that business." And yeah, but my mom and dad really came through, were really beautiful.
So you moved to San Diego, and you just recently had you were on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. You got a star. And did that feel good?
That felt really good. It felt way better than I had ever imagined it feeling. I ended up on Hollywood Boulevard literally in 1986 when I was 18 years old to start the Stella Adler Conservatory. Well, it's Stella Adler Acting Academy now, but I was there for about 7 years when Hollywood Boulevard, maybe some of you remember, was pretty much a war zone. It was, it was the height of the AIDS epidemic. It was just after they cleared out any kind of hospitals for mentally ill people. It was the crack years. It was a really tough place. And so just to be there, and I was so broke I couldn't pay attention. And walking up and down that boulevard thousands of times over the years, saying each person's name, Marlon Brando, Kermit the Frog. it was in me, but it was so far away from anything that I'd ever imagined happening. I mean, I would have just been happy just to, just pay my way, my rent, being an actor.
How did you support yourself?
I did everything. I painted houses. I did landscape work. I was a telemarketer. That was fun. I literally didn't sell one thing. I actually called my uncle. I was like, "Can you please buy a gross of line printer ribbons, please? It's $200, please." And I was a busboy, I was a waiter, I was a bar back, and pretty much I rounded out my career with an illustrious bartending career for 8 years.
One of my favorite stories on Graham Norton is your bartending story. I'm not going to make you tell it now. It's okay. But you have dined on some of your bartending stories over the years. You made about 11 small features before Kenneth Lonergan cast you, and You Can Count on Me, opposite Laura Linney, which is a brother-sister drama that broke my heart, like it did a lot of people. Many people know someone who's lost and troubled and can't find their way. What did you learn about acting from Kenneth Lonergan? You started in the theater with him.
Kenny's writing is just so specific and beautiful, and there's just such a powerful inner life happening with those characters. And what I really learned was just to be present and to sort of act moment to moment, and to let yourself sort of fill out the dialogue that you're saying. Let it really go through the process of thinking it and feeling it and letting it come out. He's such a beautiful writer that it's very easy to do that process with his words. And there's such interesting characters. And so, yeah, I really learned to trust that kind of inner life that was motivating and animating the dialogue.
So did you have a strong preference for theater, for film, for television? I mean, is there one medium that is yours?
I started in the theater. I did probably, we did 30 plays in the 12 years that I was living in Los Angeles. We had a little 60-seat house theater. And we were all just these kind of poor theater rats. And literally, that's where I thought I was going to be. And that's probably where I'm the most comfortable. Duncan Wedderburn is probably the closest that I've gotten to the same kind of freedom that I have on stage. And but I love it all. I'm just such a I'm a theater. I'm an acting cockroach. I love it all. I love acting.
So how did You Can Count on Me affect your career? What was the big change from that?
Well, I was in LA. I was doing all these little theater pieces, and in Los Angeles, if you put LA theater on your credits, they literally throw your resume in the trash. That's how much respect they had for LA theater. And so I was just grinding it out, and I was trying to get all the casting directors to come to these little plays, and they never came. And build it and they will not come, is what I learned. And so I did You Can Count on Me. Well, first I did This Is Our Youth, which was a play that took me to Broadway, off-Broadway. And that was just a huge hit. It was like just a runaway hit.
That was Lonergan.
That was Kenneth Lonergan. And that really opened up a lot of doors, but when I did You Can Count on Me, it just, everything kind of exploded for me at that moment. And you have this if you're lucky like I am, you get this moment where you have a role that so speaks to you and is at a particular time in your life, and you understand it so deeply, and the world responds to it in the same kind of animated way and loving way, and that I was lucky to have that.
You were like 33. Well, let's look at a clip from You Can Count on Me,
Okay.
and from David Fincher's serial killer thriller, Zodiac. I know, I'm a little nonplussed. So you were a little uncertain about taking the role of the cop in Zodiac.
I think I've been uncertain about just about every role. My team calls me Mark Ruffalo.
So Fincher talked you into it.
I mean, I had warrants out for my arrest, and when I was in my 20s, and so taking a cop role was like the farthest thing I ever saw myself doing.
But you did it.
And I paid. They weren't bad. They were like parking tickets. You know. Anyone who lives in LA has had a bench warrant.
But you must have heard all the word on Fincher, what he's like to work with, the multiple takes and everything. Was it true?
It was more true than what they say about rabbits.
What was it like?
What do they say about rabbits?
They multiply.
It was spectacular how many takes we would do. And in the beginning, I didn't really know that. I knew that he would yell at people, so I can't handle being yelled at. Like, I just crumble. And so I was scared about that, but I didn't really know about the takes. And it was my first day. I had a long walk and talk with Jake. It was probably 3 pages. He wanted to do it in a oneer. It was a complicated dolly move with a crane arm. And we're like on take 45. And I'm just like, dude, you suck. He hates you. He knows you're a fraud. And at one point he leaves the monitor, he's coming straight for me, and I'm like, yep. I told them Sean Penn would be better in this role. I'm gonna get paid anyway. And he literally he walked straight toward me, he walked past me, he moved a background artist literally 2 inches, turned around, walked back, patted me on the shoulder, and went into his perch. And I was like, oh, he's a full-frame director, and I just happen to be about 10% of that frame.
So it turned out okay. So around 2002, you were diagnosed with a brain tumor.
That was fun.
So this is nestled behind your ear. It was benign,
It was benign.
but you had to get it out.
I had to get it out.
And your wife was pregnant.
Sunrise was pregnant with my son, Keen, who's here. Hey, son. And yeah, it was really scary. And when I had it removed, I woke up and my face was partially paralyzed, and then just over the course of 8 hours, it just was totally paralyzed on the left side of my face. And I couldn't even move close my eye, and I was talking like this. And I was like, oh no. Who is going to hire a paralyzed actor with a paralyzed face, especially when he can't even close his eye? And yeah, that was a really hard time, and the recovery was really hard, and that was a really hard time. And I just had the most amazing partner, Sunrise. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for either of us, and yeah, we all got through it.
Yeah, and you recovered completely, except for maybe a little hearing loss. Is that right?
I lost my hearing. I did make a deal with if there's an entity that's greater than us, and it was like, dude, you could take my hearing, but don't take my kid's father. And that's what happened. The moral of that story is to be careful what deals you make. I probably could have got away with less.
So another cool movie that you made during this time was The Brothers Bloom, which is Ryan Johnson's follow-up to Brick, and it's this really fun, I don't know how many of you have seen it, but it's a twisty, entertaining con man movie with you and Adrian Brody and Rachel Weisz. But you went up for one brother and wound up playing the other?
Something like that. I think I might have thought I was better for a part that had already been cast with a pretty sizable star, Adrian Brody. And yeah, he's like, well, I really want you for this. And I said, I don't know if I could do that. And he said, I think you can. And that seems to be a theme in my career.
So you guys were running around the streets of Romania, Serbia, Greece, Montenegro. You were in Prague. How much fun was that?
It was the best. It was, we were there for months. I'd never really traveled the world in that way. And we were like this gypsy, no, not gypsy. You can't say that anymore. We were like this little Roma circle, just traveling Eastern Europe. And it was so low budget, and it was just such a beautiful time. And we were making this great movie with a great director, and it was so fun. And the costumes were great, and the dialogue was great.
So he's a great writer, but were you improvising as well?
Not really. He doesn't like you to improvise. The trick of acting is to make everything seem like you're improvising. So that was what we were trying to do. I mean, sometimes I'd sort of go afield a little bit, but he was always like, I think it's better if you, I think it's better like this.
So I was just curious, what other sets can you remember just having the absolute best time?
Poor Things. You know, honestly, like I said, I love to act. And even when it's bad, I'm still having a great time. There's certain things that are just really fun to play, that are just inherently fun. The Kids Are All Right, that was a blast.
You were really, you'll see the clips coming up. In fact, we'll do it right now. We're gonna look at The Brothers Bloom and The Kids Are All Right, and you'll see why I might say that he's sexy in this one.
I like that. I love that movie.
So Infinity Polar Bear is an example of a movie that is just heartbreaking. You really went for a very deep, dark, painful story.
I think it's funny.
And this is an example of one of the movies that you produced as well, right?
Yeah.
So was it hard?
No, because Maya Forbes and Wally Wolodarski, the writers, and Maya Forbes directed it. They were just so great, and the script was so great, and the partnership was so great that that was not difficult to produce. It was more difficult to act.
Yeah. So what kind of research did you do into this kind of manic depressive behavior?
Well, that's basically me. There's more manic people here than you'd imagine. Yeah. Maya's father, this is her story.
Based on her.
Yeah, Maya Forbes, who directed it and co-wrote it. It's her story. And so she told me a lot of the stories about Cam. She also gave me a bunch of video of him, some of it in full-blown manic episodes. And I had so many pictures, I had so many recordings that really became the basis of Cam. You know, I've been very lucky to have some parts that I've played that were real people, and that I've gotten to know them, and I've gotten to understand them, and I've been honored to bring them to life on film. And Cam was one of them, but he had passed away 15 years before we did it. But sometimes I have dreams that I use in my work, and that's weird, but I had a dream that Cam came to me in this dream. He's like, in that scene tomorrow, I think you should do some karate moves. And I woke up and I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, that's not a bad idea. And so the next day I was in the middle of the scene, I did some karate moves, and Maya's mom was on set, and she said to Maya, oh my God, that's exactly what Cam would do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. But the other thing you pushed into existence, as I understand it, was the normal heart. That was hard too. That took a long time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a beautiful movie. That was with Larry Kramer. Larry Kramer, the famous AIDS activist who began Start Up and Act Up, and basically began outing closeted, powerful gay men. And he was radical, but he believed that the world needed to see how many gay people lived amongst us in order to save their lives from AIDS. And I had the honor of spending quite a bit of time with him. And he opened his heart to me. And really, that performance is real, an homage to him and his life work. But that was one of those, you know, and I was very close to him up to the moment he passed away. And that was just a huge gift. So there's a gift of you guys, there's a gift of, you know, being able to do what I love to do. And then there's this other gift of getting to see and experience people like him and worlds that most of us will never be able to be invited into. And people invite me in such a deep way that they bare their souls to me. And that's another beautiful gift too.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
for doing it.
Yeah.
Well, Bennett Miller's Foxcatcher is another, it's a true story. So this is one where you had to bulk up and wrestle Channing Tatum, and I mean, were you confident about this one?
No. I mean, I was a wrestler in high school, so I thought, well, I'll have that down, you know? And then I found out, well, I used to wrestle as a righty, so every move is from the right side. And Dave Schultz, the character I was playing, was from the left. So not only did I have to relearn, I had to forget everything I knew and then relearn it all again on the opposite side. And it was about 4 months of training for that. And Channing Tatum and I both want to be the dominant male, which spelled a lot of trouble for me, seeing how he was like 30 pounds bigger than me and stronger than me and about 15 years younger than me. So I just kept getting hurt.
You also got the world's worst haircut.
I did. I had a terrible haircut.
So we're gonna jump right into the clips for Foxcatcher and The Great Spotlight.
Oh, cool.
That made me cry.
That's about
Why
as
you got
real as it
nominated.
gets. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was a horrible story. That was about as I mean, that's kids. Those are kids. And what happened to them was horrible, and we were right in the middle of that story and right in the middle of their lives. And the truth is, it could have been us. It could have been anyone.
So was that character, just holding all of that emotion in him for too long, and then it exploded?
Yeah, he's a journalist, and so, the rule of journalism is not to get emotionally involved. And this guy was a consummate journalist, but what he was experiencing was so big, and what they were all experiencing was so big, and what they were uncovering was so big, and it covered centuries, and it was the Vatican. It was one of the great superpowers of the world, and it had been covered up for so long that they were in a pressure cooker, and they're up against time. And that scene is that sort of exploding. They were so desperate for justice, and it was just always out of reach. And that scene is Mike Resendiz. I mean, that scene happened.
So were you working with a lot of transcripts? I mean, how did you know? The writer was Tom McCarthy.
Yeah, Tom McCarthy and
Josh Singer.
And Josh Singer, who's
they
up
won
for an
the
Academy
Oscar.
Award for Maestro. Yep. They just put so much time into that. They knew they had to get it right. They had all of the transcripts. They had all of the recordings. They poured through it, countless hundreds of hours, because they knew how big a story it was, how important it was for the movie to get that right, because if they can find one mistake in a movie like this, they will take the whole credibility of the movie down based on that. And so it had to be as airtight as that story was. And it was.
Bravo.
And it changed the world. That movie changed the world. That movie created laws. It forced the Pope. It forced the Vatican. It forced the American Catholic Church. It forced the European Catholic churches all throughout the world. That movie changed things for the better for these people. And there's one here in particular who lived through this that we know about, an important person here at Santa Barbara. And that's the power of cinema. I mean, that's the beauty of it.
And when it wins Best Picture.
And it won Best Picture.
So in a similar vein, you worked very hard to get Dark Waters made, which is all about the DuPont poisoning scandal. And you got some amazing people to work with you, Todd Haynes, Ed Lachman. You created this extraordinary sense of corporate dread, and you played a real guy. So talk about that, how you got that made, and what the changes were that resulted from that movie.
Well, I have some of my team here today. Scott Wexler, Aline Riley, Aline Kashishin, Shani Rosenzweig, and Billy. I just had one of those moments. Lazarus.
It happens to all of us.
Anyway, they were all almost at the same time. This article came out. I'm so sorry, Billy. At the same time, this article came out in the New York Times Magazine by Frank Rich, his son. Nathaniel Rich. And it was the story of Rob Bilott, and it was the title of it was DuPont's Worst Nightmare, and it was a story of the lawyer Rob Bilott, who had for decades been uncovering the nightmare poisoning of the world with forever chemicals, and no one would listen to him. And it's the most beautiful, harrowing journey of this guy who had everything against him. He was working for a corporate law firm that would protect people like DuPont. And it was only through a childhood friend who came to him and said, "My animals are being poisoned, I need your help." That call from the most innocent time of his life made him turn against the very people who he had spent his life defending. One in a million, these people like this. But these are the people who change the world. And I read that. They sent it to me, and they said, "This is right, and you should be making this." And I read it, and I said, "I should be making this." And we immediately tried to get the rights for it, and we joined up with Participant Media, and we got a script going. And then I asked Todd Haynes, because of SAFE, to come in and direct this movie, which was a total Hail Mary, because he does not work with men in movies.
That's true.
Yeah, and he did it, and I'm just so proud of what we made together.
It actually did well. It got rave reviews, and it did well at the box office too.
And it did. It was number 3 on Amazon for like a year. I mean, it was all up in the top 3. So, and that movie changed. You know, I was in Capitol Hill 2 weeks ago testifying with the EPA and families who'd lost, a family who'd lost their teenage daughter to liver cancer caused by forever chemicals, another woman who'd lost her husband from a tumor caused by forever chemicals. 4 families who all lost people from forever chemicals, from all the diseases that they're related to. And finally, we're going to get regulations passed that the EPA has known for 30 years and done nothing. And finally, because of this movie and Rob Bilott, really, what was that? Yeah. Sister. For the
All right,
people.
Let's
Thank
look
you.
at the clips from Dark Waters and Poor Things. Poor Things is coming up. I love this guy. He's surprised.
He's horrible.
So this one scared you more than most, even, right? Why?
I just had never done anything quite like that. I mean, I was skating around it, but I hadn't done an accent like that. I hadn't done a period piece. I've been playing Crusaders. I've been playing the opposite of that guy for a while.
You've been a naturalistic actor.
And I've been a naturalistic actor. And all of those things just started to feel incredibly oppressive to me. But I still wasn't ready to make the leap away from it.
But it's a very theatrical part.
Well, it's really reminiscent of, like I said earlier, I've had a lot of theater friends reach out to me and like, listen, I've loved your work. I love it for such a long time. But to see you go back to that kind of playful, physical comedy that's so daring and broad was so exciting to me and reminded me so much of our lean days when, you know, it didn't matter.
So there was this sort of 3-week playful rehearsal period. How did that feed what you were able to do and maybe give you confidence?
We had this incredible, we never have a rehearsal. I mean, you're lucky if you have a read-through in a movie. We had 3 weeks of rehearsal, and it was literally all we did was do theater games and make ourselves look like the biggest idiots you could possibly look like in front of each other. I mean, we were doing interpretive dancing, both forward and reverse at 60 frames a second. We were singing, we were rolling around on the ground, we were puppeteering each other. It was ridiculous.
But somehow it ended up in the movie.
It was all in there.
Like the dance sequence, for example. My favorite.
It's so good. Too bad we can't show that. It's one of my favorites too. It's that we choreographed, but it was also in the spirit of that play, and that playfulness, and that sense of playfulness creates a sense of freedom and a space for you to feel free to explore and safe to explore in. And you know, this is a very physical movie, especially for Emma and me, and we needed that. And Yorgos, in his just infinite wisdom, yes, he's knew how to lead us that, but never let us be in our heads. He not once ever gave me a note about the character. We didn't talk about the script. When we read it, it was after 8 hours of playing games. We'd read 10 pages, close the book, come back the next day. Wow. And during the course of that, we're trying on costumes and hairdos and playing with the accent. And so it was all sort of working together. We just weren't approaching it from our heads. We were approaching it from our bodies, the relationship we were creating with each other, and this beautiful, hilarious script.
So did Lanthimos ever say to you why he wanted you when he was sort of trying to talk you into doing it?
No.
I have a theory.
Okay.
It's my superpower thesis.
Okay, let's do it.
It's the same thing. It's that you can make us feel sorry for this dissipated asshole in a way that no other actor ever could. I mean that. Maybe the idea that there's something gentle and decent inside of you that will always come through.
Thank you. You know, he's so broken. He's such another child, and he's such a narcissist, you know. But when you tear away the layers of all of that projection and falsity, is probably the most insecure, damaged people. And we got to see what we're seeing on the world stage in a comedy. But they're paper thin, you know? He's paper thin when it comes down to it. And maybe it's that we see him for the nothing that he really feels he is that gives us sympathy for him, maybe a little. I don't know. It's plausible. Or just what you said.
Now, when he comes crawling back to Bella, you know, in the rain, it's just, it's great.
It's such a great part. It's the best part ever.
So what do you have coming up? What's next? you've got some TV series, it looks like. Hal and Harper.
Oh yeah, I during the Screen Actors strike, SAG was encouraging actors to go out and make independents so that we could show the studios that it could actually be done. That, right? That we could make something and still honor the actors and honor this new contract that the actors were asking for, and it wasn't gonna stop us from working. It was doable. And I really believed in that. I think, you know, what we need competition in the marketplace, and by making great independent films, it makes the other films better. And it lets other people get involved that normally wouldn't get a chance. So I did Hal and Harper, which is we did 10 episodes, 10 half-an-hour episodes for $5 million, which is impossible.
And did you sell it?
Not yet. They're still cutting it, but the idea is to sell that. So it's never been done. There's never been an independent television show ever made that was taken to market. So that's Cooper Raiff. Cooper Raiff, who did Cha-Cha Real Smooth. I don't know if you saw that, but he's a beautiful young filmmaker. So that was his idea to sort of, make a co-opt for filmmakers to make projects, and everyone had a piece of it, if it sells. And then I'm going off to do Brad Ingleby's next film. He did a next TV show. He did Mayor of Easttown with Kate Winslet. It's really good. And Jeremiah Zager, who did Hustle, directed Hustle, is going to be directing that.
I look forward. Now is the time. I would like very much to introduce Emma Stone. God.
Thank you. Hello. I am so thrilled to be here tonight to present Mark Ruffalo with the American Riviera Award, because I get to tell you all about how wonderful he is, and he cannot do anything to stop me. One of Mark's many superpowers is his immunity to compliments, and so I truly hope having this time to shower him with praise and hold a mirror up to his lovely face just might get through to him how beloved and appreciated he is. So that is my goal. So here we go. Okay. This award celebrates an actor's contribution to American cinema. And Mark's contribution is extremely significant. In fact, when I Googled how many films has Mark Ruffalo been in, the answer was at least 57. But when I began thinking of all of his roles, I knew exactly where to start. The moment I first fell in love with him as an actor, when I saw You Can Count on Me. That film is unequivocally excellent, but there is a scene where Mark's on the front porch. He knows this because I've talked to him about it a million times. There's a scene where Mark is on the front porch and a moth happens to land on him as he's talking, and it's accidental, but he incorporates it in his performance so effortlessly, that it made me think about Marlon Brando in On the Waterfront and his improvisation with the glove. And both of those scenes are so captivating. And Mark just blew me away with his charisma and his talent. This awe of all that is Mark Ruffalo continued to grow as he charmed and bumbled his way through 13 going on 30. Kept me gripped to the screen in Zodiac and Spotlight. Almost convinced me that organic food was sexy and the kids are all right. And then ripped my heart out and stomped all over it in Foxcatcher. Mark has that rare ability to marry pathos with comedy. And I knew I would do anything to be in the presence of this man and work with him. And thankfully, when Poor Things came to life, I got my chance. The character of Duncan Wedderburn, as they were just talking about in Poor Things, is debaucherous, lecherous, and treacherous. And watching him play this character was honestly the most fun I have ever had on set. In becoming Duncan, Mark got to be awful. He got to swear and philander and let his freak flag fly. And yet, he also somehow imbued Duncan with a sparkle of loveability. All right, sorry. With a sparkle of lovability that Duncan quite honestly did not deserve. Duncan is an archetype of a narcissist. And somehow Mark made him adorable, as only he could. This character could not be more opposite from this man. But Mark, being so different from Duncan, is what made him the perfect Duncan. In addition to watching him get to do all these terrible things, I got to watch him struggle with it in real time. Truly, before a take, he would be stewing in self-doubt, like, I can't do this, oh my God, what the hell am I even doing here? Like, what's happening? And then they would say, rolling, and he's just off. He's doing it, and he's committing to it all with no barriers or boundaries, just totally free. Realizing that Mark is impossibly hard on himself made me appreciate the depth and the breadth of his work in a new way. Mark doesn't entirely believe he can do what he's about to do, but he does it anyway. Mark doing what he does on screen is a kind of act of bravery. And it's just as incredible to witness and collaborate with as I had hoped. And getting to know Mark as a human being was also as wonderful as I had hoped. Mark is an open heart of a person. And his James Dean exterior, forgive me, houses a bottomless well of empathy. I've never heard him say a genuinely unkind word about anyone. In fact, he sort of personifies that old adage that for every finger you point, there are 3 pointing back at you. He really zeroes in on those 3. He believes in the goodness of people. He's thoughtful, and his gentleness is remarkably much more powerful than any other overtly alpha tendency. His strength and his convictions about the world and the souls in it are deeply inspiring. So I am so grateful for moments like this where we all get to applaud and celebrate a truly wonderful talent and person. It should come as no surprise to you that Mark thinks he's a terrible dancer. But as someone who has had a few excellent dance partners, Mark, let me tell you that I would dance with you any chance I get. It is my profound honor to present the American Riviera Award to the one and only Mark Ruffalo.
That's cool. It's cool. Love you 3000. I'll keep smashing. If they'll let me. Hold on. Oh God, just so dirty. Emma. That was the most, I mean, come on. That was the most, very humbling, totally true. I think I'm gonna get over it. It just never happens. Thank you, Anne. That was really beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Roger Durling. This is what a cool. Thank you, Santa Barbara Film Festival. Thank you, Searchlight Pictures. David Greenbaum, I think you're here somewhere. And Yorgos, who's not here, but if he was, I would be really anxious. Thank you, Emma. So my native friends have asked me to do a land acknowledgement to honor their part in America. We are on the ancestral lands of the Chumash, where 27,000 native people once lived here. So I want to thank them for hosting us in spirit tonight. Just so we get started in a good way. It's such a sweet honor. Thank you. I mean, the whole evening is just very sweet. Even the people out front waiting. Every once in a while, a part comes along that makes you rethink everything you are, everything you've done, and can open up something inside you that you didn't even know was there. And you get to do it with the most talented people you had dreamt of working with, and then suddenly they appear at the later part of your career. I'm still waiting for that part. Did you like that? She's got the best laugh in the world. Emma, maybe in your next one. Yeah, something broad and funny and pathetic for me. I'll wear a corset. Seriously, this has all really been so unexpected at this point in my life, and it's been just this joyous experience for me. You know, I got a star on Hollywood Boulevard a few days ago. Kermit the Frog was like 4 stars down. I got nominations, Academy Award nominations. I'm getting the Riviera. I got the Riviera Award. I've gotten some really nice loaner clothes. I mean, life's good. It's really good, and I'm at an age when so many people that I've known and loved are leaving this earth. And it just makes me enjoy this all in just such a different way than I could when I was younger. And I'm just grateful because I know now that life is just this beautiful, fleeting gift, and that this world is just full of untold suffering. And it's just, by feeling that value of our own lives, it actually gives us greater capacity to feel the value for other people's lives. I mean, it's goddamn hard to be a human being, you know? It is. It's just hard. And so we're here to value. We're here to value each other and value life, and to love, and we're here to celebrate the love that we universally share, and the chance to tell the stories that excite in us our common humanity and vulnerability. Tonight, there's 1.9 million people on the border of Egypt who are so afraid for their lives right now. And why it's happening is equally horrible for the people in Israel that were lost. But we can't bomb our ways into peace. And we can't act like what's happening isn't happening. It just doesn't do us service. And it's a scary time, and I just want to state that, because so few people are right now. And we gotta, connect to our humanity so that we can all be more human. And so I thank you. This is a great honor to be here tonight. It meant so much to me. And Sunrise, I love you. I'm really looking forward to the next half of this journey. And my family, I'm so grateful for you. And thank you. Thank you for this. I really appreciate it.